It's my pleasure once again, folks. As introduced, my name is Nathan John, Implementation Manager, and today the pleasure is absolutely mine to introduce you to our new UI design. So today's presentation isn't very heavy on slides, but we'll be spending a lot more time within our console navigating around our new features while I explain why we've done some of what we've decided to do. Like I said, very light on slides, so we have a very short agenda. Quick couple things. Our support page is now at help.alertus.com, which has been moved from my.alertus.com. So you can go to help.alertus.com. If you have not yet signed up, sign up. And there you can access product documentation for just about any of our Alertus products. And you can also find how-tos on configuring these individual components of our solution. My slide does say software downloads. We'll have that ready for you in a very short order. But for now, software downloads are only available at my.alertus.com. So we're almost finished with that transition. Reaching out to our support, you can reach us at support@alertus.com for email support, or you can reach out to us via the telephone. This is just a snippet of what our new client portal looks like. I think it looks pretty nice. And we've got lots of tiles to help you find stuff a lot easier. Scrolling lower down this page, you'll find hyperlinks to some really important stuff that we've designed to really make finding stuff easier for you. You could also even use our search engine. So what's new? Besides our visual refresh, we've got a ton of security upgrades like we do with every significant release. This release, we basically went from using struts to something else that's a lot more secure. So we've decided, hey, let's give this a redesign. Some customers have been asking for it, and we definitely saw value in making our system a lot more useful for you. So aside from new layout, menu colors, and branding, we now have themes. So you can choose a look that's easiest on your eyes, and you can work with that. We've got a search bar. You can now cancel all of your alerts with one click instead of individual clicks for each alert. We have given stuff more context so that, just what I would call the mental adoption of the way things are structured in our UI, it's just a lot more coherent now. And like I mentioned, we have some security improvements. One big security feature that we've added is the ability to delete our admin account. Previously, this account, you couldn't disable it, you couldn't delete it, you could only give it a very strong password. Now you could delete it. As long as there is one other super user existing in our system. That way, if someone forgets their password, you're not entirely locked out. We can now invite users via email, and we have strengthened our password policies and management, miscellaneous security stuff. We've got a new HPSA settings page, and we've got a new addition to the dashboards section. Well, it's not a new addition. It's something we moved into the dashboard section. That's our event dashboard. And we now have a live voice mode for HPSA and rapid response console. That should be coming soon. For those of you who are not aware about what the rapid response console is, it's basically a hardware device that we can provide to you that allows for quick and easy activation of your system. So this brings me to the end of my slides. Let's pop on over to our new layout and take a look. So first up, we have a redesigned login page. Looks pretty nice. Your banner is now in a little section down here, pops a bit more, and there is no question that you're in our console. So my credentials have already been pre-filled. I'm going to log in. And here we are. This is your new UI. So what's different? Previously, we would have had a yellow banner going across the top with preset activation, custom configure system reports, and so on. Now we've put these in a vertical bar. I think it looks much better this way. And our default page now has a series of tiles for quick access. So you can navigate using this list, or you can simply click on a tile and go in. But before we go in, let's highlight a few other things that we've changed. Brand new, a search bar. So you might want to log in and you might not be sure where to find a certain setting. So let's say you wanted to find your beacons. You can simply type it in and we'll show you settings, pages, and page sections. These all come up in our search results. So simply typing in something, scrolling through this list, finding what you want and clicking into it will take you directly to what you're looking for. Really convenient. Another thing that we've done is in the upper right corner, we previously had your system info, your middleware link. Those two have been relocated. These are now to the bottom left in this section. So here is system info, you can hover over it. And like before, you can see what version of the Alertus software you're running. And the middleware link is also down in this section also. These two are accompanied by your support link. So clicking here will take you to your support page. I'll go into each of these, but first, just an overview of your default landing page. Themes. Let's talk a bit about themes. Upper right corner, you can see that I am logged in as admin. If you're logged in as a different account, your account name would show here. Clicking on this drop down, we get to themes. So I'm going to click into this. I'm currently looking at our light theme. We've got a dark theme. That's all the craze these days. And of course, we've got our classic theme. I am a fan of light themes, so I will leave my default on a light theme. And now let's start going a bit beneath the surface. A key point, the changes to our UI only affects our console. It's not, we haven't changed our middleware. Let's click into it. It still looks like our classic view. And that's just because not a lot of time is spent in this section. We may get it at some point, but not a whole lot to be changed here. System info, we've spoken about that, and support. So clicking into support, you now have a new support page. Same information, just organized a little better for you. So we've got how to reach out to our support, customer resources, your middleware version or your server versions rather, and then we've got licensed features. So now in its own tab, and it's sectioned a little bit better. So general devices and so on and so forth. You can see what you've been licensed for here. Going back to our main page, let's start clicking into some of these tiles so you can see what these look like. So preset activation, these, it's still going to be very familiar. We've decided to keep it all very familiar while upgrading. So here, like we've had before, tiles, once they've been added to quick access, you can easily click on any one of your preset alert scenarios. And these follow what you're accustomed to. You go next, we get our confirmation page and we can send. That's preset. Custom activation also looks very familiar, follows similar logic. Let's go to dashboards. So if I click on my dashboards, you can see that we now have the event dashboard in our dashboard setting. This has been moved from reports. It's not exactly a report. A dashboard is something where you could make changes real time and change the way your system behaves. So we can click into it, and this behavior also It's all very familiar. HPSA 2 dashboard. I don't have an HPSA 2 hooked up to my home lab, so we won't have anything populated here, but pretty slick. And if you like to keep your interface slick, you could easily expand or condense any of these main sections. Clicking into reports, we've got all of our usual reports that you can find, alert history, all the way going down, and it's all alphabetized, so it makes stuff easy to find. Our configure system also, we've gone away from that static virtual box on the side, and we now have these links that you can easily click into. One new feature that we've added to the configure system submenus is in custom event triggers. So previously, for any custom event trigger, let me go ahead and add one. For any custom event trigger, we had a maximum of 7 different arguments or variables that we could evaluate when trying to activate your system. Now, we've removed that 7-item limitation, and you can add as many as you'd like to. This is a bit advanced, and we usually work with our customers to get them set up. But, oh, these are actions, my apologies. I'm looking at, but same applies for your arguments. We can add, or criteria, we can add as many of these as we want and get pretty advanced. So we can do and operations and or operations, anything that, or I should say a lot of flexibility to get things working for you the way that you expect them. And then we can add an array of actions also. Now that I'm this deep, I should point out that we've also added breadcrumbs. So if at any point, maybe you're not too familiar with our system and you know, where am I? Here we've added breadcrumbs. So we are in our custom event trigger. One up from that is our configure system, and one level up from that would be our homepage. Let's take a look at something else that we've added. Let's go across to users and access rights and take a look at how some of the changes we've made for adding users. So here I have 2 super users. I can, if I wish to, safely now delete my admin account, which we couldn't have done before. Here is a user that I've created, and you can see that it's enabled and invited. Let's take a look at what that means. So I'm going to add user, and let's just call this test user. So I'm creating a test user. It's enabled. I can assign a role to it. I can put in an email address. And what's new is I can now invite this user to sign up and create a password rather than set a password for them, which is something that you are very familiar with many other systems that exist today. Of course, we still have the classic way of setting up a user. You can manually create a password for this user and simply send them their password. So sending someone a password versus having someone create their own password, the latter is always more secure. Behind the scenes, we've also increased password strength, our password strength policy. So you can turn that on in settings. Show you this real quick, and you can turn on very strong passwords. This has always been there, but the logic behind it now is a lot more robust. All right, let me send a couple activations, and we'll take a look at what your system now looks like after it's been activated. So let's go home, go back to our tiles, and just for demonstration, we can easily click any one of our tiles. And this is just a different view of our list, which shows up on the side here. So let's send a couple activations. I'll just fire off a few. This is the test. And I'm going to select default and target. I don't want my screen taken over, so I'll just use something else just to show you what my system looks like. And I'm going to send. So now my system is active, and you notice that we have a little red pop-up at the bottom here. Clicking this shows us our active alert. If we had a second activation, send another custom activation. This is another test. Let's choose default and let's hit continue and send this. Maybe my other one expired a little while ago. Just a moment. So here are your alerts showing up. You could easily cancel all. I'm not sure what's going on with my server today, but we'd have a cancel all button where you could easily cancel multiple alerts if your system were active with them. Or you can cancel an individual one just by hitting cancel, saying yes to confirm that you would indeed like to cancel. And there you go. Now your system is back in a resting state. Awesome. So this brings me to the end of our new UI upgrade. I hope that you all enjoy it. If you have any questions now, I will happily field them. Back over to you, Andral.
Sorry, can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
Okay. So there's one question. Are there any changes to the hardware requirements with the new version of the version on the console?
The hardware requirements fortunately remains exactly the same. So you won't need to change anything on your backend.
Perfect. How does the LDAP look for authentication configuration?
So Ldap authentication configurations, that remains the same. So if you are familiar with it, we perform that integration in our middleware. So in Alertus middleware settings, we can go, that remains the same. This is all classic. Once that integration is done and we've performed a user sync, and we go to configure system users and access rights, what we'll have is an Ldap badge next to each account that is associated with your Ldap domain. So that all remains very, very classic and familiar.
Great. Next question is, how well does the new upgrade work with Avaya J series phone?
The upgrade itself is visual with some security enhancements. On the backend side of things, integrating with Avaya systems continues to remain what you are familiar with. We do have one small security enhancement. Does it apply to Avaya? I think it does, but either way, we no longer show passwords in our configuration files. But to answer your question directly, nothing changes with that regard.
Great, awesome. Next question is, if you disable the admin user account, how do you set another super user?
That's a good question. So adding a user, as long as you have a user that has been assigned to the admin role, you should be okay. As long as this role has been selected and another user has it and it's been added, you'll be fine and safe to delete your admin account. So here I have 2 super users in my system. My test user that I invited yesterday and my default admin. So now I can safely delete this account and proceed. But if I delete my admin account, then I won't be able to delete this super user. So it's mandatory that we have at least 1 super user account available.
Okay, next question is the update purely cosmetic, or is there any other enhancements to this build?
Yeah, behind the scenes, we've done a bunch of security enhancements, like I've mentioned. If you'd like more details, popping over to help.alertus.com, this is what our new portal looks like. We've got some tiles for quick access and tons of links to get you to specific things, commonly searched things pretty quickly. We do have a link on our portal that speaks specifically to security enhancements, which my eyes aren't falling on right now, but it's all inside of there. So we've moved away from struts, which had some security vulnerabilities. I'd be lying if I could tell you specifically what we've migrated to, or if I remember it, because I've been told. But it's just a bunch more secure now. Some additional things with the way that we've done includes how modern browsers like Chrome or Chrome-based browsers, or just any modern browser for that fact, how they handle login or pages with unsecure elements. All of that stuff has been tightened up. They won't directly affect functionality, but it just leaves you a bit more secure.
Thank you. Next question is, I'm new to using the console. What would be the URL that I need to go to access the console and log in?
Another good question. So this entirely depends on your organization and what DNS name your IT has set for your server. In my instance, I am going to demo.alertustech.com. So your URL may be something similar to alertus.yourorganization'sname.com or .org. And once you are authorized to sign into our system, that page comes up and you can sign in with your credentials.
Awesome. So we have another question. It may be better fit for the implementation team, but just in case you know about this, I'll ask it. The 9608 IP phones worked and took over the screen. The J series SIP doesn't take the screen of the phone. The whole message is not visible. Has that changed?
That question is really around, you are correct. That is more so an implementation thing where one device may just not be configured to work like the other device. I can't specifically answer that question for that scenario because there's just a ton of information that I don't have. But it could be as simple as, is that device capable of working like another model device? Answer may be yes, it may be no. If yes, then what is its configuration? If no, then it just won't be possible to get that similar functionality across both.
Awesome, thank you. I'll make a note here, Janice, and I'll have someone reach out to you to kind of talk about this privately so that they can access your file and take a better look at your organization. Next question is, should we expect that the new console will load pages faster than the old struts?
In a word, yes. Is it perceivable? Probably not. So yeah, we have fast load times, but it might be such a small load time, it may not be immediately perceivable. What I do recommend to all of my customers though is if you are experiencing slow load times, that's usually indicative of your server requiring additional resources. So base configuration for most installs is a quad-core processor, quad-core CPU with about 8 gigs of memory. As your solution grows, we'll definitely need to add memory so that with maybe thousands of devices talking to our server at one time, it can still adequately respond to your web page requests. And this is true for just about any system.
Perfect. Can I go back to the old look?
Because we've had to upgrade a bunch of backend architecture, we didn't support going back to the old look. And the old look depended heavily on struts. So that's why we've done away with that, and we've decided, hey, let's put something brand new out here. And short answer to that is, unfortunately, no.
Okay, perfect. I'm just going to give a couple of minutes in case anyone else has another question, but if not, we'll end the session here today. So before we end this meeting, I just wanted to remind you to fill out the survey on your way out so we can help, so we can better serve you on our next webinars. And we would really like to talk about what you want to learn about and not just, guess what you want to learn about. So please fill out the survey. And I hope to see all of you in 2 weeks, June 2nd, where we'll talk about outdoor alerting. And if you have any comments or additional questions, please feel free to contact support or your respective account managers. If you had questions that raised that weren't able to answer, we will have your account managers reach out to you for a little bit more unique solutions to your questions. So thank you again, and thank you, Nathan. I hope to see all of you in 2 weeks.
Take care all. Thank you for having me. Bye.